Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I am one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I got my co-host, James.
Hey!
And today we're talking about Volume 10 of To Your Eternity. Probably, I'm just gonna say it, probably the most exciting cliffhanger to any of these books so far.
Yeah! Oh, wow! For real!
I just can't wait with that one.
Oh gosh!
Definitely looking forward to seeing what comes of that and stuff like that. And I mean, we'll talk about this later, I'm sure. But yeah, just super exciting ending.
For real.
I remember like when I read this one the first time, feeling probably just the way you feel right now, just like wow, like this is incredible. But anyway, yes.
I can't wait to keep reading, and you get to keep reading. I have to wait how many weeks?
But let us get straight into it, starting with Fushi, our boy. At the start of this book, he has spread himself for 3 kilometers in every direction. I think that was the indication. And he had also been peeing and pooping himself during that whole time. But that aside, by the end of the book, he had spread himself throughout, like he had rebuilt an entire capital.
Yeah.
Like castle and all. So I think, this whole power that started in the previous volume, right? Yeah, it did, right? Yeah. He's gotten so far with it in just like this
really
one
has.
book. It's incredible.
Expanded incredibly. Although, I will say, it does seem like he might be thinning himself out in a way, or at least exhausting himself. I guess I can't say for sure he's thinning himself out, but it does feel like through the course, I mean, just the physical signs he was showing that this may be too much of a strain for him at this time.
Yeah.
And maybe he's pushing himself a little too much. We know why, but it just feels like maybe they could be setting themselves up for failure in some way, or at least partial failure. I'm not guessing that this next volume is going to be complete disaster, but it may not go exactly, well, it cannot go exactly as planned for storytelling purposes, I don't think. But yeah, I think that it won't go exactly as planned just because Fushi has extended himself so much. But I could be wrong.
No, but I think your worry there is sound, right? He definitely has been exhausting himself, like, and like pushing himself beyond his capabilities. So yeah, definitely reason to worry, I think, for sure.
But that aside, like you were saying earlier, it's impressive. It's wow how much he's recreated. It's amazing where we've gotten.
Definitely
where he's gotten.
He just like when he created the castle, it just rose out of the ground like that.
That was so cool.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully, in the season 2 of the anime, if that comes out, if they do make that second season, that's gonna be so epic. So, but yeah, and also through this ability, he can now also kind of transport or like teleport, quote unquote, himself.
Yeah.
Throughout this area that he has made his own, which is also really, really awesome.
I wonder if it's anything similar to how the beholder can kind of disappear or transport or just work within his realm. Like maybe it's a similar principle that's going on, but not exactly the same thing.
Right.
Clearly, because he doesn't have like a rope that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like Fushi.
Yeah, like it's a bit more advanced probably for him.
Yeah, probably a bit more advanced, but it's cool to see potentially the beginnings of that.
Definitely, yeah. I also had that thought because, yeah, like I guess at this point because we started having those speculations like Fushi will basically eventually learn everything that the beholder can do, and so with that in mind, those thoughts definitely come to mind whenever he learns a new ability.
Right.
So it's really cool. And at this point, like even at the very start of this book, he was even able to defeat a Nokker that was like 3 kilometers away.
Yeah.
While serving dinner, it's pretty crazy. Sorry, just gonna put Shino off the desk again.
Oh, that's fine. I guess moving on a little bit from that point, I think something that kind of took me by, well, maybe not by surprise, but how hard Fushi was taking it was when comes back with these three guys and it's like, hey, they're not immortal yet, but they will be. Wink, wink,
Ye-
nudge, nudge.
yeah.
Um, and he kind of took that a little hard, and he basically tells Kahaku, like, I can't trust Bone anymore. And I was
Mm.
like, I don't know. Like, to me, it just seemed like he was taking it harder than he needed to. But maybe I'm not seeing the big deal here.
Hmm. I don't know.
Maybe I'm not angry at Bone enough. I understand, I understand why Fushi would be upset, but maybe the extent of how upset he was, I don't know, it seemed a little much. But we're all individuals with our own feelings, I suppose. So.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. People are complicated, and I'd say even though Fushi isn't exactly human, he
Fair.
he acts largely as one. And I think that makes him just as complicated as any human. So I guess things like that are part of it. But I don't know. There was also sort of that scene. They went to see the Princess of Renril, and
Mm-hmm.
and Fushi, I feel he understood better than Bon how little trust there was between them and the princess. I mean, surely Bon understood that, but I feel like
I think,
Fushi
yeah.
understood it somehow better in a
You
way,
think
or at
so?
least he took it more seriously somehow, because he wanted, or
Hmm.
because he spoke up to the princess in that scene, like no one
Mm-hmm.
else really dared do. And
Mm.
I don't know. To me, that made me feel like Fushi took it seriously in a way, or at least I don't know. I mean, obviously his approach was different. I guess that doesn't necessarily say that he took it more seriously than Bon, but definitely the approach was different regardless. So I guess there
Yeah.
was a bit of a rift there, and he even he didn't only tell Bon that there was no trust between them and the princess. He also told Bon that there was no trust anymore between the two of them, like between him and Bon,
Mm-hmm.
and that definitely shook things up a bit.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I felt like, and maybe it was because a bit of that moment that that trust was lost, where he says he couldn't trust Bone anymore. Maybe that's the reason why he kind of had a bad attitude a bit, or just seemed like he was pushing people away again during this whole thing. But as time goes on, he seems to maybe open up or allow these people to help him.
Yeah.
And I do think, I do think that there was a trust issue there. However, I think another reason, and maybe a big reason, is because he kind of, well, he expresses before the Nokker comes that he's just not confident that he's able to save everyone. He feels that
Mm.
they could be all doing this for naught.
Yeah.
And so he still has that lack of faith in himself, hence why he was so, he just didn't feel like you could come up to him and talk to him, really, I felt like.
Yeah.
Unless maybe you were Echo.
Right. But I mean, also, I don't know if this has a little bit to do with what you were talking about, but Bond sort of made an observation early in the book, in that first scene, that Fushi seemed to have distanced himself further from humanity.
Oh,
I sort of personally disagreed. I mean, in that moment when Bond made that observation, I could see why he did it,
right.
like based on that specific instance. But
Mm-hmm.
overall, throughout this book, I don't see any signs really of Fushi having distanced himself from his humanity. Uh, you know,
Yeah, I agree.
he still feels guilty every time he uses the other forms of the humans that he's known. He reiterated on that in this book.
I think potentially what he meant by that line was, and I'm sure you know this, but
Mm.
was that he's his powers and abilities are just beyond that of humanity. That in that
Right.
sense, he is furthering his, I guess, establishment as a human. Like what he is less human.
Yeah.
Not so much his inner being and his personality and the feelings he has. That
Mm,
is
mm.
very human. But I mean, being able to create your own biodome is very much not human, aside from creating or women giving birth and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you though that if that was Bone was trying to say, then no, I mean Nuh-uh. Like he's still very much human.
Right. And I think it was really just a thought in his head, so he didn't. I don't think it was something he said out loud.
Oh,
I don't think. I could be wrong with that, but I think it was
I
just a
can't
thought
remember.
for him.
Hmm.
But yeah, like it's not a big deal. But it was something that I took note of because it was something that I could understand it based on that specific moment. But overall,
Mm.
I definitely didn't agree with it. At least thinking of it as, you know, humanity being what he is, like his being, his person.
Hmm.
But anyway, I think Fushi's and Bond's relationship had definitely, improved by the end of this book, though. So it
For sure.
it seemed to have mended over time, kind of.
Right. Maybe it was just a bit of a spat, bit of a spat. And excuse me, my voice. I was recording a video yesterday,
Ah,
and I did a lot of voices for it, so I think my voice is a little hurting, or not
gotcha.
hurting, but anyway. So please forgive my voice cracking from time to time.
Will do.
But I think that like you said, by the end, the trust was there, and I mean, Fushi went to a room to talk to Bone, just like just like he would have done like a couple volumes ago or last volume. So,
Mm,
it's I think compared to the beginning chapters of this volume versus the end, yeah, it was like they were back to normal.
I think so. Yeah. Personally, I was seriously moved to see that, when Fushi wanted to create like the base in Renril, he made it Boozman's house. I thought that was
Yeah,
such a
I
sweet
was too.
thing. That was so
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Gosh, it was so great. And it was just nice to see it again after all this time.
Yeah, yeah, and I will say like there is a lot, like, since I read these books like definitely more than a year ago at this point. I think it was like
Hmm.
around spring last year, so it's been a while. So there's a lot of details that I've forgotten, and I remember like, well, when I reread it today, he was already in Boozman's form right before
Mm-hmm.
that happened. So I remember thinking like, ooh, wouldn't it be so cool if he made it his house? And then he did. So yeah, that was really really sweet.
It was. But it was also kind of sad that he couldn't remember Gugu. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
he builds this
So,
tower. It's like, oh yeah, we lived together here for 4 years.
mm,
Ah, man, he's
yeah.
really he's got to get him back. Next
He's
volume, come
he
on,
has to. Yeah, I think Gugu is the only at least main one that he hasn't got right now.
Perona.
Oh wait, did he lose Perona as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I guess her too.
I,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Kahaku was all like, "We are getting Perona back," and the
Oh yeah,
others.
you're
You know,
right. You're right. You're right. You totally said that.
objective number one.
Yes. Um, but yeah, definitely want to get those back as soon as possible. If only just for Fushi's memory of them, really.
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, like with that moment, Fushi sort of on a whim started that process of turning all of Renril into him, or yeah, basically,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was such a cool idea to turn the whole city into him. I don't know if that's the right terminology or whatever, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like to do that for the well, in preparation for the Nokker attack. It's really smart. But the more he spreads, the more people in pain he senses, and he
Mm.
got distracted. Although also, as we learned later in the volume, the fact that he got distracted for that period of time by that and went to help a bunch of people, that ended up sort of helping him in the end,
Yeah.
because that meant that a lot of people had seen him do good deeds, and it gave him good credit. So
No good deed goes unnoticed.
yeah, yeah, seriously, that's a really really good message with that, I think.
Indeed. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, and he also picked up on a new sort of sensation that he didn't recognize.
Right.
It was visualized with like this other sort of like star-esque, like white multi-pointed star figure
Mm-hmm.
thing. Did you have any like thoughts on what that might be? Because I didn't really understand that.
Yeah, I have honestly I don't have any clue. We were talking to is it some other guy? Is that the guy's name in our Discord?
Yeah, Great Dud Guy joined our Discord
Oh,
server.
it wasn't some other guy. I don't know why I thought that was the username.
Uh-uh.
We were talking about how was there a distinct difference between like say love and joy? happiness and some of those other like
Yeah.
feelings that are kind of like positive versus the negative pain kind of feelings. And you get to this point, it's like, well, maybe there is some sort of third other category, or maybe these emotions are more distinct than we realize.
Right. Exactly.
I'm not sure. Although you would think with pain, like maybe there would be like a sadness or something, but maybe pain and sadness are one and the same. So
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I really can't say for sure. It's interesting.
Very, yeah. I look forward to maybe, learning more about this as we go on.
Great dud guy. There you go.
Yes.
Like you said. My bad.
Yeah. But yeah, like basically for anyone wondering, we do have an open Discord server, an open Umami Manga Discord server for anyone who wants to join. We talk about, I mean, at least lately we've been talking about the stuff that we are covering on Umami Manga right now, being Kaguya-sama Love is War and this series To Your Eternity. So that's fun. But we're open to talk about all things manga, anime, weeby stuff in there. But yeah, link in the video description on YouTube for anyone who's curious. But back to Fushi. After the city learned, that Fushi was Fushi, there was that scene when he decided to walk through the market in the boy's form. He contemplated for a while before if he should go in a disguise, but he ultimately decided to walk through the streets in the boy's form as himself, more or less. Well, it is the form that he has made himself known as, and it is the form that he feels the most himself in.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought the fact that he made that choice in that moment reminded me a lot of when Gugu spent some amount of time without his mask on, when he was a kid. After he ran away from Boozman and all that, he walked through the streets showing off his true self in a similar kind of way for the character, but obviously the reactions obviously were very different for in each of these instances. But just like the mentality for Gugu in that moment and for Fushi in this moment, I thought were very similar, and I thought that was a nice little similarity.
Yeah, I didn't compare that, but that's a good comparison, I think.
That's all I got for Fushi. What do you have anything more?
Just a couple things. Kahaku says that Fushi is at least 233 years old.
Older than that guy, than that one guy.
Oh,
I think that's what he said. So at least 250, I guess. At least
really? Here, let me look.
In that case.
Either way, I think we were kind of speculating it was around there. So it's nice to get a written confirmation that that's basically the age.
For sure.
Which is incredibly. I mean, for us, it's like that. Wow, that's a few lifetimes there.
Yeah. That was definitely nice information to get.
And again, I just want to touch on the kind of the more negative side that he was going through. Like when he was told to go check up on. Sorry, I gotta scroll down to get the name right. Hairo. And just see how he's doing. He's like Wolf. He's kind of like, I don't want to do this. It's all pointless anyway. It's stupid. He's just really negative about it all. But I think his understanding and maybe opinion changes slowly, but surely it does. And him saying that getting the soldiers' trust won't do anything turned out to be wrong, I think. I think will turn out to be wrong. Even now we see that by gaining the soldiers' trust, that's kind of helped gain the city's trust and the queen and the princess's trust.
Right.
So I think it was a smart decision. So, I mean, I guess you could take a couple of things. One, attitude is everything. But two, Fushi sometimes doesn't know everything. It doesn't have it all planned out. I mean, we've seen this time and time again, I guess. But even now, even though he's 233, 250 or whatever he is. He still has some learning to do.
For sure. I mean, yeah, definitely.
I think that's all I got.
All right, then. Then let's move on to the little girl on the cover art of this volume, Echo.
Her eyes are so big.
They are.
It's huge.
You said Tonari's eyes were big back when she was introduced.
Yeah, I did. I think Echo takes the cake at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And she's got such cool eyes too. Like it's not just the size; it's like the shape of them and like stuff like that too.
Right.
They look really,
Yeah.
really awesome.
Yeah. Something about it is I guess unique for, uh, or compared to the other characters. Like it's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Mm. And yeah, we learned pretty early in the book that it turned out that her home was destroyed by the Knockers,
Hmm.
and that she is possibly the only one left of her people. Obviously, we can't
Oh,
say
you
for
think
sure.
so?
I mean, we don't know. Well, first of all, we don't. I mean, definitely we can't know, but I think it's a possibility because we don't know how big that civilization was or is. It's possible it was just her like well where she lived. It's possible. I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
Since they've got to be in a minority, you know.
Right. At least by Fushi's interpretation of the memory he saw, it was a village. So,
Mm.
and unless that's the only village of these people, then that could imply that there's more villages.
Right,
But then
for
again,
sure, for sure.
we can't. I guess we can't say
Mm.
yet.
Yeah, because I'm thinking since it's like it's been implied that they are very rare. Like most people haven't seen one of these earthenware people before. I think as like well because they were on that freak show and that was made out to be something very very special. So, but yeah, like anyway, like obviously it's not necessarily this way, but assuming that was the only civilization of her people, then
Mm-hmm.
maybe she is the only one that still lives.
Yeah, maybe. It would be really sad if that was the case.
Mm, yeah.
And is that from genocide or just the
Yeah.
knockers or yeah, who
Mm.
knows?
But we do learn that she has amazing perception. I can't remember if it was Bon or Kahaku who made the observation that maybe it's the earthenware people who have good perception like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they wouldn't be able to probably know for sure. It might just be her individually who has that ability.
Yeah, quick to pick up on things though.
Definitely
Well,
very
quick to pick up on changes. Just
right. Yeah, like she
yeah.
noticed the knockers attacking at the end, and she noticed the waterways like that had a
Mm-hmm.
problem, and thanks to her that got fixed.
What it almost like felt like she could feel it, like she could sense it,
Yeah,
and she was able to go through that maze and find it.
exactly. So maybe it is somehow related to her people, like with their supernatural powers somehow.
I
Uh,
mean, at least so her ability that ability explains why she was so conscious of the leaks in the ship. It's because she could just tell that there was something going on,
oh
that there was an
yeah,
issue.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah, totally, definitely.
I was thinking about that basically because of the was the comment that Kahaku said about earthenware people. It was either him or Bon, I can't
Yeah, I
remember, but
think it was Kahaku, but
hmm
but yeah, regardless.
so based on that and just seeing what Echo has done, I and what how their people live supposedly and how they communicate with that jar.
Hmm.
Um, I do wonder, and I don't know if I said this last time. It's been a while,
Hmm.
but I do wonder if they have a special connection to the Earth, hence the name, but
Right.
not just the Earth, but maybe the Beholder's body in a way,
Ooh.
and so they are able to because if what Fushi's doing is similar to what the Beholder has done,
Hmm.
then these earthenware people have a connection to the beholder and other things like well basically all of creation, and so they're able to
Right.
maybe like tell what's going on or some or like issues that may be there and be able to sense things that perhaps we can't, or we is not the wrong is the wrong word, but that like normal people can't sense.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's interesting.
And my train of thought went to, are the earthenware people not made of the same kind of material, or maybe that's going too far, but maybe they're not the same as just regular people.
Hmm.
Maybe they were actually created by uh, the beholder in some capacity,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I mean, does that mean they should be immortal as well? But I don't know. It's something strange or something definitely strange going on, and I want
Oh
to,
yeah.
and I can't wait to learn more.
Yeah, I really hope we do too, because with the reveal in this volume that, well, I guess with the at least possibility that she might be the only one left of her people, or at least the way I thought about it.
Hmm.
With that revealed, I, I guess I started feeling a little bit less sure that we might learn more about them.
That would be such a wasted opportunity, though.
I know, I agree. But, definitely still holding out hope that we will learn some more because they're definitely really interesting.
Hmm. I mean, well, look, even if the people are all gone, I don't think you can not touch on the Earthenware people whatsoever, or
Yeah,
who they were, or what their purpose was. I think
true.
either way that has to be touched on.
Yeah, especially since in this book we learn that there is like research and information about them through books and like stuff like that. And
Hmm.
also since, Echo has basically become a daughter to
Yeah,
Fushi.
I totally agree. I even wrote that down.
Right, and and at this and like with that kind of relationship to the main character, there's no way that she isn't going to be an important character, and to
Right.
explore her people would make a lot of sense with that in mind.
Hmm.
But yeah, like she tried to make food for Fushi. The first time didn't turn out so good, but as Fushi later on figured out, it was probably because the water was just bad. Um, and also like how Fushi recalled his own days, as an actual bad cook back, with the booze man and Pure and Gugu, uh, was pretty sweet too.
Hmm.
And I don't know, she had a lot of interesting or a few different like food related things this volume later on with the she lied to Fushi about the food that was going to be served at
Yeah.
home.
You betrayed me.
Yeah. But then it turned out she had made like her own sukiyaki and it apparently tasted great.
Oh, that's Oden. Or not Oden. That's Onabe.
Oh, was it not sukiyaki? It looked like sukiyaki to me.
That's Nabe.
Tell me what's the difference between that and sukiyaki?
So sukiyaki is kind of like it's similar. It's similar to a nabe, I guess, but it's just the presentation and the sauce that you cook it in, and then you dip it in an
Ah,
egg over rice. Uh,
yeah.
Nabe is literally you just kind of cook everything in a pot, um,
Don't you do that
put it
with
together.
sukiyaki too, though?
It's just different sauce
Okay,
and
okay.
different presentation.
I gotcha. Well, anyway, uh, maybe we'll start a cooking podcast one day. That's all I had for Echo. Do you have anything more?
Yeah, I do. So sorry, while we were also talking, I was trying to find the whole Fushi age thing, like because I was trying to just it's such a minor thing, but I was just trying to get the direct quote. Still haven't found it yet, but I will get there. Anyway,
Hmm.
um, when they're in the tower, she puts on Lean's mask and is holding Gugu's mask. I just thought that was really cute. Like she
Yeah,
just runs towards that mask and just
totally,
puts it on.
totally.
Uh,
Oh.
and chapter 90, which is her kind of main chapter where she finds the dirty water,
Yeah,
it is called Devotion That Echoes in the Drain.
right.
And
Yeah.
it, Echo being similar to what they call her in the
Mm.
Japanese translation, Echo. So it's like, why would the English translation go with Idiot instead? Like, I really don't understand the choice there.
I mean, I understand narratively, or like with with the language in mind. I understand it because
Linguistically, sure,
right.
but I think narratively that could be an issue.
It could be absolutely. Like I definitely, we're on the same page there. I just, yeah, I there is a logic to the English translation. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
Just as Fushi is called Imo in some translations, like there is a logic to that, even though I don't like it.
when Fushi is, quote unquote resting because Kahaku demands it, she can tell that he's not there. Like I feel like she's able to tell that Fushi is not physically there, like he's transported his conscious to another body.
Exactly. Mm.
And now is that because she could just tell he's not breathing?
That was my interpretation, but I mean, maybe there's something else.
I mean, it's either that or she just is able to somehow tell that the consciousness is not there.
Right.
And I love how helpful she wants to be, and obviously chapter 90 was precious, but
Yeah.
throughout the whole volume, she just wants to be helpful.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking, this person can't speak, as far as we understand, and they communicate through a jar, and yet she wants to be helpful. She feels like this is important to do. Like she's aware of all that and wants to be there. So it makes me wonder how much she's able to process, how much she's able to understand.
Yeah, I feel like she understands more than I mean, obviously she can't speak herself, but I feel like she can understand
Right.
spoken language to at least some extent.
Yeah, potentially, you're right. Because she's able to cook these meals
Yeah.
that are pretty good. I mean,
Uh-huh.
that's that's impressive for however old she's supposed to be.
Mm.
Um,
True, and also she probably never had, or I don't know. I guess we don't. There's a lot we don't know about her people, to be fair. But I imagine
mhm.
the customs in the part of society that she lives in now must be very very different from back where she came from. I imagine.
Hmm.
So that's also even that's a whole lot of new things to learn, sort of like that. Because the dish that she cooked, I imagine was something that Kahaku taught her, because it's like a Japanese dish, and he comes from a
Mhm.
country that's inspired by Japan.
Right.
So you know,
Yeah. So that's probably what it is.
but she is a fast learner, regardless.
Oh, yeah, completely. Yeah. I mean, that's all I got.
All right then. Well, and speaking of Kahaku, let's talk about him next.
Sure.
He really became like almost like a housewife in this book. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like doing a lot of the cooking and like watching over the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Was pretty. Well, I thought it was pretty sweet to see him in that kind of role.
I
And yeah,
I thought it was funny.
it
He's
was.
just like the house spouse or the house wife. Just waiting for Fushi to get home. It's like, come home, we miss you.
Yeah,
Echo misses you.
yeah.
Please.
And it was also so sweet to see how he genuinely really cared for Fushi's well-being, and like
Yeah,
he
it's
was really
true.
the only one who heeded Fushi to take rests and to take care of his body, like to not overwork himself. Everyone else, I mean, Fushi obviously wanted to keep working because he knew how important the work was. So I obviously I understand that, but nobody else really thought Fushi would be able to overwork himself. Everyone else trusted Fushi, which I guess is a good thing that they trusted him.
Mm-hmm.
But Kahaku really was the only one that was right in thinking that Fushi needed to rest, and it became obvious when, well, first of all, he was leaving all these sticky stuff in the houses after making them in a rush, and later on he actually got seriously exhausted afterward. Like, so yeah, should have listened to Kahaku. I guess my last little thing on Kahaku was that I thought it was interesting to hear sort of from him how much a part of him he feels like the Nokker in his hand is, or in his arm.
Right.
Because we've talked about this, we've speculated and like sort of discussed this, but hearing directly from him that he really views it as part of him, and like if he didn't have it, he wouldn't really know really who he might not have been the same person, or he might not be the
Mm-hmm.
same person without it, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really a burden on him. You
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
like just he says you can't choose your own parents, and it's like, wow, that kind of mentality really, yeah, it kind of really hits with him.
Yeah.
He couldn't choose the person he was born to. The burden he was given.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is sad.
Actually, I'm just curious. Do you have any like speculations as to what will become of Kahaku and his Knocker in the future? Like, I'm just curious if that's something you've given thought to.
I mean, with all these characters, death is always on my mind.
Fair. Totally fair.
um,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Although now with the possibility of everyone just coming back as immortal beings, um,
Mm.
it's like, well, what does it matter if they die per se? Although that's also a terrible thing to say. So forget I said it. um, so I don't know. I think that we've gone a pretty long time without there being any tragic loss, so we could be due for one, and Kahaku or Bon would fit the bill. So I would
Fair,
think it'd
yeah.
be one of those two.
Mm.
Being I don't think, well, it could be both, I guess, but um, maybe not at the same volume. I don't know. Maybe that will come back to
It's
bite me
hard.
in the butt.
It's hard to say.
Um,
But yo, do you think Kahaku will pass Hayase's will on, or do you think he will be the last reincarnation of Hayase? Is that if that's something you've given thought to? Maybe I'm putting you on the spot here, and if I am, I'm sorry.
well, I haven't given thought to it this volume, but in previous volumes I have because
Mm,
I'll be honest, when I was reading previous volumes, I thought potentially, that they could be dead the next volume, just with how the story had been going.
gotcha.
But so in those previous thoughts, because he hadn't found a wife and or a way to continue his seed, and that he seemed to be so set on Fushi and being the person who's be able to get closest to Fushi, it almost felt like he wouldn't be able to do that, and that
Mm.
the Hayase line would potentially end there. But then I thought to myself, what would she just totally end that plot thread?
Yeah, that would be a
I'm, but
shame.
but then again, Kahaku would be a good place to end it because
True.
he
Also
kind of
true. Mm.
reconciles the what has happened in his past and almost has become repentant of that,
Mm.
even though it's not his sin to bear, but um, I guess he understands the issues his family has caused,
Right.
ancestors have caused. So there's that.
For sure.
As for the Nokker, I don't think the Nokker will have too much of a play in the story. And if the Nokker's gone, well, meaning that it won't last long, is what I mean.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's very important to the story, but death is imminent for it, I think.
Yeah.
So that being the case, unless Fushi is able to create a new body for Kahaku in some way, then I think I can say, after all that rambling, I think I can say Kahaku will pass away with that knocker. So
Gotcha.
that's my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Cool.
ready to be wrong. Hey, if I am wrong, oh, cool. Like,
Right, right, right.
I just wonder, like, who. Well, I guess we wouldn't have to know who would continue the Hayase seed, but it just seems at this point, I wonder if Kaku even wants that.
Yeah.
I feel like like I said, he's gotten the closest to Fushi out of any of the other reincarnations. So
For
it's
sure.
almost like maybe he couldn't move on.
Yeah, I wonder.
Don't know.
He may or may not have been hitting it off a little bit with the Poco.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
well,
I
not,
didn't
not
want to bring this up, but I have like had this kind of small inkling that maybe Poco was kind of into him, and
At least physically, she is.
physically, yes.
Yeah.
And so like it was all the way back in, like, was it volume 7 when she first like joined them on their journey?
Oh, I think that was volume 8.
Oh, it was volume 8.
I
Excuse
think.
me.
Mm-mm.
And she kind of turns and looks in Kagu's direction. It's like, oh, there's some interesting things. Like, and that's what got me thinking. Is like, oh, maybe she has a little something there.
Maybe.
But then again, I was gonna say this is a Poco discussion, but you brought it up and I got excited. So
I mean, go for it. We'll talk about
I'm
some other
sorry.
things about her later.
right. But we can't deny the fact that she seems to be very interested, just in general, in finding a boyfriend, and so she probably considers anybody who's, good looking to be a potential candidate.
Oh, for sure.
And according to her, she's kind of ruled him out, just because I know what's going on in there. You got some issues,
Right. Yeah.
or maybe you got issues.
So, oh no. But yes. I mean, I guess that thus a sign that she's smart.
I have a lot of questions about Perono. Not Perona. Not Perona.
All these P names.
You know, Poco.
Yeah.
But I'll save that for when we get there. Either way, that is an interesting question you gave to me about Kaku, and I guess we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely. So,
I do have a little bit more about him though.
go for it.
Poco asks about his feelings for Fushi, and he says he still loves Fushi, and maybe even more now.
Right.
But he says that his love is being tested. And
Yes.
I was like, what does that mean exactly?
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like he said something similar to that in one of the previous volumes. I think it was when he went a little crazy.
Oh.
I think he said something similar to that when Fushi started changing into like the old man form.
Yeah, you're testing me, aren't you? Yeah.
Something like, yeah, right.
He was fooling himself in that case.
Yeah. Oh yes.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely in love,
Yeah.
but he is. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
I think at this point, we can say that it's unrequited love. At least romantically speaking. I do think Fushi cares about him. Maybe not as much as some of the other people he's had on his adventures, just because of the history with his reincarnation and everything.
Yeah.
But I think that, deep down he cares about him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's that one point where he's talking about Bo and you never should have trusted that man, and he's kind of going off like he's his wife or whatever. And
Yeah.
You have me,
Yeah.
you don't need anybody else. I'll be with you always.
Mm-hmm.
Fushi doesn't really acknowledge that. He's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his face definitely doesn't like respond to that or like return those feelings.
Right. It's like, I love the sentiment, but not right now. Like.
Yeah, I mean he was already in a bad mood anyway. Like that wasn't gonna cheer him up, really. So. Yeah, man.
Anyway, so that's all I have on Kahaku. I will say that while I'm okay with the role he has, I still don't feel as strongly about him as maybe you do or something like that.
Fair. Totally fair. I mean, I'll say this book didn't do too much for him, I would probably say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the main reason I still love him is really because of, I guess, volume 7, 8, and 9. Much more so than volume 10. This one didn't lower him to me, but it didn't, I guess, make him better.
Yeah.
But yeah, still really love him though.
Yeah, fair.
So moving on to Bonchien.
Yay!
So he was, he got the nickname Baron Springroll last volume, and turns out he didn't even know what spring rolls were. I thought that was really funny.
Did you see him like picking the spring roll with the chopsticks? Like, what is this? Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
I wonder if Poco knows what a spring roll is.
Yeah, because she was the one who gave him that name, right?
Well, she heard Fushi say it, and then she gave him the name.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, in that case, she probably doesn't know in that case.
Gotcha.
Because it might, it's probably something that doesn't really exist in their culture.
Well, it's like the equivalent of the Oriental culture,
Yeah.
Oriental dish.
Exactly.
So I guess Bone's mission for the first part of it was finding these allies for Fushi, these potential immortal allies. Yeah. And we said that, I was thinking, well, surely he doesn't mean actual immortal beings. He must be talking about finding somebody that can be useful for Fushi as like an immortal body kind of a situation. And it turns out that is what the plan seems to be,
Right.
I think eventually he will, or when Fushi finds out, then he will have these three capable people, at least these three specifically, adding with the people he could potentially have already.
Yeah.
To his, I guess, arsenal of immortal allies.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
Definitely. Yeah. Kahaku's words or his promise or whatever you want to call it definitely didn't live up to Fushi's expectations there. And I mean I don't blame Fushi because Fushi
You mean
definitely got.
Bones' promise?
Oh, sorry. Of course I meant Bond's promise.
Okay.
Yes, a little tired. But
No,
like yeah, like I definitely don't blame Fushi for that because he got so excited,
true, he
while
did.
waiting for Bond's return. His expectations were pretty high, which maybe was, I mean, obviously it was dumb of him to get so excited because
Hey,
he should know that he is a one of a kind.
as Bones said, good thing Fushi is stupid.
Yeah, true. That's so true. Yeah. So actually, what did you think? What did you think of that? Like initially, when you saw that Bon put Fushi to sleep like that, like I was just curious. Like, what was your
hmm
initial reaction when you saw him do that to Fushi? Because
Um,
like, sorry, because I'm asking you because of what you said recently about. Well, you sort of expressed some ideas about Bond perhaps being fishy in some sense. So I was curious to see
oh.
kind of what you thought of that scene when you first saw it. If that, I don't know. Yeah.
So I didn't think, and maybe that's my fault for not thinking. I didn't think it was like a malicious attack on him
I see.
at all.
Mm.
Um, I didn't know what, because I guess I'm just trusting Bones so much here that whatever he was doing, I was gonna be like, okay, where are we going with this? I mean, obviously, I was like, oh, all right, that's a little extreme, but I'm sure there's a reason behind it,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm glad it turned out to be talking with the Man in Black about that.
For sure.
Uh, so yeah, I don't. I do remember saying that, like, potentially, what if he gets kind of really prideful and decides to, make the kingdom his own or whatever,
Hmm.
and I mean that was just like one potential, like, possibility.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'm definitely not feeling that way right now.
Cool, cool.
Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
trust. This volume is was a lot about trust. So we
yeah.
gotta trust him.
I mean, and in the end, Fushi was like seemed to be totally okay with it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Um,
Like yeah, the scene after that, he definitely didn't seem worked up over that at all.
mhm.
More on Bon?
Yes. So the two, I mean, this is kind of minor, but the two spirits that are with Bon, they said that they had lingering regrets, but now they just want to be in the world with Bon.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that's similar to potentially what's happening with Fushi and the few spirits that are with him. But they don't have necessarily lingering regrets because, again, we got to remember Gugu said he didn't have any regrets. Um,
Well, he said, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess
yeah, he said he had no regrets.
either he said it and didn't fully mean it, or there was more to it, or there's more to that how that works, I guess.
Okay, that's fair. And to be fair, I mean, he could have regrets. Like, he easily could,
Yeah.
um, or things that he wished he could have done,
Yeah, I mean the
as well
way
as the other people around him.
exactly because the way these two spirits put it when they were talking to Bon in that scene was that well they both expressed it as if that the reason why they stayed behind as spies was because they had these regrets in various ways still.
Hmm. Yeah,
And that might just be the way that they put it. Like that might just be a common
right.
factor between these two. There could be more
Hmm.
to it, like why people don't go to paradise.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just thinking like there could be other reasons. As I think we've sort of because when we talked about like why are
oh,
these
oh, oh,
specific
oh. Yes,
fights
yes, yes, yes. I thought
still
you were
there with
talking about
Fushi?
like a restriction or something like
Oh,
that.
oh, no, like yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, no,
you get it,
I totally
you know.
agree. I guess what I was trying to say is, it, for these guys, it was because they had regrets, but then they wanted to stay with Bon.
Hmm.
Um, but I think with the people that are around Fushi, I think the main is they just wanted to keep helping Fushi in some way.
Yeah,
Not so much they had the lingering regrets, I guess. I mean, especially with Tonari, I think Tonari had. It felt like from the get go, she was just like, I'm helping Fushi no matter what.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
basically since she got to know Fushi, she made that her
hmm
mission, since sort of. But
Right.
with March and Gugu, for example, I imagine, or at least initially, because at least definitely March didn't know
Yeah,
about
definitely March.
Fushi. With her, it was really, I think, her dream that made her stay
Yeah.
around. And I could see that being the case with Gugu as well, although it could be more than that with Gugu, of course.
Hmm.
But Gugu also had a dream that was never fulfilled as well. And yeah, and that makes me wonder though, if that is the case, why if Gugu stayed behind because he still had an unfulfilled dream, why, or if this is the case, or if Reen isn't there, because we haven't seen Reen
Hmm.
there, if then why isn't she there?
Yeah.
If she also had that strong dream similar to Gugu's, I don't know. It puzzles me why Reen isn't there.
I yeah, I my only simple reasoning is that Reen moved on to paradise and that Gugu wanted just to stay behind to be with his brother.
Yeah,
That's my only potential reasoning for it.
true. I mean, that makes sense.
But obviously that doesn't take into account their dream. Although
Mm.
did they share the same dream? I guess
I mean, they shared the dream of being together, right?
they did share that dream.
So
That's very true.
that is one thing at least.
Hmm.
And I mean that is the shared dream that I think is represented or depicted on the volume 4 cover. It's the two of them
Yeah.
together, and I think
Yep.
that is a
Yep.
shared dream. It's not just Gugu's dream; it's her dream too.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I can
so
agree with that.
so yeah, but anything more on Bon?
I think this whole fight with Fushi, while I did say share my gripes or my kind of frustrations with Fushi's attitude,
Hmm.
I think it all could have been avoided if Bowen would just explain the whole resurrection thing or the whole, you know,
Yeah.
Fushi's powers. He feels like there's a reason, and maybe he's right, but it just and maybe he's talked to the beholder about it, because he confirmed in this section or in the in this volume
Hmm.
that he is able to see and talk to him.
Exactly.
Um, so it could be that the beholder made him keep quiet about it in some for some
Hmm.
reason.
Ooh, that would be interesting if the two of them have had a conversation that we haven't seen in the story.
Uh huh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, because I mean, yeah, because I also can't really I don't really understand his reasoning for not sharing it with Fushi at this point.
Yeah.
I really don't. But if the beholder has something to do with it, I guess that would maybe explain it. Hmm.
Like maybe he just asked Bones like, please wait. I mean, please maybe it's this.
Please, like he got down on his knees. No,
But
no,
just
right.
that he still has things to learn before he should learn that. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Definitely interesting to think about though.
Or the other spirits asked him not to share for some reason.
True.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's right. Bond could be influenced from so many directions. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't really know. Yeah, man, I am very puzzled about this because nothing completely makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, and it's
Yeah.
also the fact that it feels like he's trying to hint at it. Like when they're playing the game and he comes in, but if you have the ability to resurrect your pieces, it's like we might as well just tell him. But obviously Fushi just like walks away. It's like good thing Fushi's stupid, right? Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like all these hints. He's like, oh, are you trying to keep it a secret or not? Like,
Man, yeah, just tell the boy.
yeah, that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I have.
Okay, then let's talk about his sister Poco. I think one of the funniest things in this book was when she was having like holding that speech in front of all the people that she was standing on the stage and suddenly she was speaking like perfectly normal. Like what? How on earth does that work?
Hey, my speech impediment is a choice.
Yeah. Oh, that was so like not only did she not have the like all the S word become sh sounds, she also used like really advanced words that I wouldn't have expected her to know. So yeah, that was just really, really unexpected.
Indeed. Her appearance was kind of unexpected too. I really didn't see her coming back to this into the story, to be honest.
Right. But it was nice to see her.
Oh yes, definitely.
For sure.
I think it's funny how she's like kind of trying to find her boy. Like she's like kind of good. Looks at the city. It's like the food's good. The men aren't half bad. Women are totally ugly.
Yeah.
Wait, rude.
So rude.
But I guess that's like her. Maybe that's how she pumps herself up. It's like, oh man, if I can't find a boyfriend here, what am I doing wrong? Anyway, so although I don't know if how I don't know how hard she's looking per se. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's going around to these guys and like checking them out, but she's not really maybe putting as much effort into it potentially.
Yeah, I don't know. There was actually on like an extra page in the physical book. There was like a messenger bird message from Poco to her family back in Uralis.
Oh,
To her dad, mother, and other brother. And
Torta.
yes, Torta. Yes, you remember the name.
I remembered. I remember cake.
Exactly. And in that message, she basically said it was funny since it wasn't a letter, it was actually like a message recorded, quote unquote, by her. It still had like her weird way of speaking, yeah. Which a letter probably wouldn't have had. So they were still able to work that into it, thanks to it being a message and not a letter. But in the letter, she basically complains about being hit on by 100 guys per day. And like it's so annoying, and she says that all the women are mad at her for like because she's so cute, and she's like, why aren't I as ugly as them? Like, life would have been so much easier. And yeah, it's really funny. But what I thought was a little bit, I guess, a little bit more interesting at the end of the letter was that she, well, it's nothing major, but she said that she has realized that she likes faces of people from Yanome. Like she has kind of realized that she likes that general look.
Oh gosh, I should never mind.
I think I know what you were going to say, but and she ended off by saying that she wants, like, once all of this has settled down, she wants to go to Yanome.
Aw, that's nice.
It's pretty fun.
Hopefully they're open to foreigners and travelers.
Yeah, I hope so.
It did seem like Yanome was a very antagonistic country at the time.
Yeah,
at least 200 years ago.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll see.
When Fushi introduces her to Echo, she puts her hand on Echo's chest.
It looked like that, yeah.
Why?
No idea, honestly.
She's a child.
That was a bit weird. I was trying to think, like, maybe it just looked like this from that angle. Maybe she doesn't actually, but it definitely looked like that.
Well, now I gotta look again. You're gonna make myself doubt.
Oh no, I agree. It definitely looked that way, but I'm just trying to think that maybe it wasn't actually. But I mean, I don't know. I agree.
Yeah. So that was a little weird, and I don't know why. Maybe she's self-conscious about chest sizes, but she does. But she's a child, so she doesn't have it. Like, I don't. No anyway, it's a. I'm gonna chalk it up to weird Japanese humor.
Yeah, that's probably it.
But how old is Poco anyway?
Not sure. She is relatively tall.
Yeah, right.
But she's
like
still...
she towered over Perona.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, young adult or maybe late teens. I don't know. Although that's really just a guess. Maybe she's just really tall and she's like way younger. I don't know. I have no clue.
Other than the fact that she said she liked Kahaku's face and my whole thing on that, that's all I got.
All right then. Then moving on a little bit to Princess Alma, or I think Messar or whatever. I think he called her Alm without the A at the end. I think that was his nickname for her because everyone else called her Alma.
So interesting enough, in my translation, it's ALME.
Yeah. That's what Messar called her. But before that, the servants called her Alma.
ALMA?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
In like in the flashback to when they were kids, and they called for her, that which was the first time we ever saw her name. That then she was referred to as Alma.
Okay, yeah.
So I just assumed
I probably missed it.
I just assumed then that that was her, I guess, proper name, and that Messer just called her Alm as a nickname, kind of,
Yeah.
or Alm.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Because I imagine that it's a silent E. But anyway, the princess of Renril. I don't have really all that much.
Oh no, so it's ALME Sama. Like it's ALME for me too. Like when the servants call her, it's ALME still.
Okay,
in my translation.
Not in the physical book.
Interesting.
Yeah, in the physical book, it's like in the flashback, it's Alma when she's being called by the servants, and then
Yeah.
the only one who ever calls her by name after that flashback is Messar, or Messar, or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I would pronounce that.
And I just assumed, since in the physical book anyway, it's always spelled with an E at the end. Then I just thought that was what he called her as a nickname. But yeah, I guess that is a bit strange that it's different.
I mean, it's the Crunchyroll translation, so it could be different than the official, I guess.
I'm just gonna. I like to think that the physical books are more official, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So Alma, I guess. Or I mean, we could call her Alm for short. I mean, as he does.
Sure. No, we could. I meant sure, as in we can call her Alma.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
fine.
I mean, either really. But yeah, do you got anything on her?
Yeah. Well, just her history with Messar. She doesn't know that he is potentially her half brother.
Yeah.
So that whole potential thing there is very, very odd. Like, well, what do you like? I guess it's forbidden love, if you call it even that. Maybe it's just a familial love kind of thing. Then again, she doesn't know. So
right, that makes it complicated.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like how she calls Church of Bennett. She said there's just nothing but fools, so it's more like Church of Fools, ha!
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, well, her father didn't have too big of a role, so if there's anything about him,
Right.
we could touch on that here. King Baldron.
I just like how he said, "Do something for the people I'll leave behind." Like that.
Yeah.
Just like that phrase.
Absolutely. And yeah, he seemed very, very ill. Like, I feel like he could pass away any moment, maybe, potentially. I don't have too much else really on those two. I just figured I'd mention them here because next I want to talk about Messar. Moving into the Three Musketeers, but starting with him because I think he definitely had the biggest presence in this book out of those three. His full name was kind of silly, I thought, or well, Messar Robin Bastar or Baster or whatever that last part of the name is, because he is a bastard son of the king. I guess that's why. Just like this. Well, yeah, because his parents weren't married, that makes him a bastard child, and it's reflected in his name, not so subtly.
On my second read through, I noticed, like, oh, you can see the similarities between him and the king. Characteristically.
Oh, interesting.
I felt like.
Yeah.
I thought the face looked similar.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. That's a nice catch. I think Oima is usually pretty good at doing those little things. Also in A Silent Voice, but we saw also like in the flashback to Kai's childhood, like we saw his father who looked definitely similar to him and stuff like that. Oh, and Reen's parents but yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting carried away. but yeah, we talked a little bit about him earlier when we talked about the princess. But he was childhood friends with Bon. They've known each other since they were
Yeah,
very little.
that was interesting. Yeah.
So that was fun to see.
It's interesting to me that he was brought to these kind of get-togethers, even though he like. So what was his like? His dad was the king, but his mom wasn't, and yet he was still able to go to these gatherings. Like,
Right, that is interesting actually. I guess I'm guessing this the father, like the king, even though he wasn't officially fathered to this boy, I guess he still cared for him since he was, after all, his son. So he gave maybe the family that he was raised in some sort of noble status. I guess that would make sense.
maybe that's it.
I have another little thing. It's a thing, a little bit of a lead up. Although we've touched on some of it already, so it shouldn't be too long. But we mentioned earlier that a little over a week ago there was this user named Great Dud Guy who joined our open Umami Manga Discord server. Again, linked in the video description on YouTube. And yeah, we had a good time talking about Kaguya-sama Love is War and To Your Eternity and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. And anyway, Great Dud Guy lifted up this idea that Fushi, when Fushi senses these white fluffy feelings in people, that it might be more than just any good feeling. It might be specifically, potentially, feelings more of a romantic nature, potentially, because that would make sense since we saw Gugu when he was talking about Rin, and Rin when she was talking about Gugu. And one thing that we hadn't really lifted up when we talked about Volume 7, which he pointed out in the chat, was that Fushi picked up that kind of white fluffy feeling from Tonari when she was on her deathbed. And of course we can't say for sure if it's just a general happy feeling or if it's specifically some kind of love-esque thing. But if it is some sort of romantic thing, it would make sense with the speculations that James and I had at the end of Volume 6 when Fushi left Tonari, and we talked a little bit about how maybe she had some feelings for him, at least back then. So I guess it would work with that, which I think is pretty interesting to think about.
That would be interesting. It could be that because you remember Sandal mentions that both him and Tonari love him.
Right.
So it could be less of a romantic love, maybe just a love and like a great love in general.
For sure, yeah. It definitely doesn't have to be romantic love necessarily, although it definitely was in the case of Gugu and Rin. And I guess it still could be romantic love, but I'm definitely not saying it absolutely
it could
is.
be.
Right. But I'm open to it to either.
I mean that'd be pretty cool if it was, but
it would be. It would have been cool because we love Tonari. It would have been awesome if she had those sorts of feelings. But the reason why I guess bring this up right now anyway is because Fushi felt that white fluffy feeling from Messar when they were talking about the princess. Messar knows that they are half siblings, and obviously this is a bit controversial, perhaps. At least assuming it is romantic feelings. But I don't know, just interesting to think about, regardless. Or to speculate on, or to ponder, like, is it romantic feelings that he holds for her? Surely he would never act on them. I don't think, or at least that's
right.
It felt that way. So I think he's at least that responsible. But yeah, he might have such feelings for her if those white fluffs do represent romantic feelings.
Yeah, that one's tough because it's what is exactly he feeling, because she has those same tough things when Messar kind of blows and you see her face, and by the way, her face is very cute, obviously.
Of course.
Shocking surprise.
She's a princess.
She has to be cute.
Yeah.
Which is not true. But anyway. Yeah, so it's seeing that, and then the comparison with Messar having those same things. It's like, what's exactly being told here? It could end up being just one of those forbidden love kind of situations, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Japan's I don't think I'm familiar with incest. So,
No. That's
but
that's very
anyway,
true. No, but I think, well, first of all, well, it's not too controversial, like, because even if they both, well, first of all, we don't know for sure that they do, but if they both do feel romantic feelings for each other, I think it's semi okay because the princess doesn't know that they're related. So from that point of view, it's, I guess, understandable. And Messer, I don't think would act on it, as I said earlier. Like,
hmm
so I think it's cool. It's cool.
it's all good.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
biggie.
But yeah, I thought that was definitely, yeah, just interesting. But anything more on Messar?
Answering the door with two naked women, classy.
Oh yes.
Him being naked as well.
Uh huh. Oh yeah. Right.
But I mean, putting that kind of questionable act aside, I like how he practices the game repeatedly because he knows what he has to do in order to get
Right.
the prince's attention. You know, I mean, for me, I didn't see it as a huge deal he was doing it, but he could tell it was bugging Fushi. So I like that reveal that it really meant something. Like he had a reason
Exactly.
for doing that.
Right. Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah. So and it made for a good backstory with him and the princess. Yeah, we got some three fairly good backstories there from
Hmm.
those three people, and yeah,
Yeah.
it was nice to see it.
Yeah, really interesting to get to know those three. If we're
hmm
done with Messar, we can move on to the next one,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Sure.
So let's talk about Kai next.
Okay.
Well, very loyal to Bon, one of his old soldiers. And I thought his backstory was probably my personal favorite out of the three, because I think it sent a really good message that basically said that things will be all right in the end, sort of regardless of how miserable things might be. Sometimes they'll get better. Like, it'll, yeah, things will look up eventually. Uh, and I thought that was nice.
Yeah, it was a good message.
Mm.
I'm excited to see. I guess moving on from that, I'm excited to see what he's building. You know, like
Oh
he mentions
yeah,
like some weapon he's got going on. I was like, ooh, what could it
yeah.
be?
What could that be? I actually have forgotten. Like, I don't remember what he's working on.
Ooh,
So I'm just as excited about this as
it
you
may
are.
not be that important then.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I mean, I hope it's something really cool because it definitely. Well, I am really curious and excited to see it
Yeah,
for sure. More on Kai.
we came here because of our regrets. Regrets, sorry. We came here because of our regrets. Um,
Yes.
I really like that line from him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I wonder then, assuming any of these three should die, will their Phi remain on Earth, or
So
or or,
my
or
thing about the
you
whole
know?
Phi thing
Hmm.
is, I always figured it was a choice that they made, a choice that they could move on or they could stay. It
Hmm.
wasn't necessarily like predicated on these desires that maybe they don't quite are conscious about, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So if because Bone kind of gathered them and has probably explained to them the whole situation, I'm thinking yes, they will stay because they're making that choice. Once they die, their Phi will stay. They have that will,
Hmm. Hmm.
similar to maybe Hayase, who had a strong will of being reincarnated. Um, that
Exactly.
kind of
Do
that
you
kind of
th-
thing.
do you think maybe Hayase's Phi is being reincarnated using the same method as Pioran's Phi being reincarnated into a horse? Like, do you think perhaps
Oh,
at Hayase's deathbed she was actually somehow in touch with the Beholder as well,
oh
and
my
and, and, and made
gosh.
a similar request? Perhaps. I
Whoa.
just thought about it. Like, I have not thought about this
Um,
before. I think it's possible because at least as far as we know,
but
that's the only way to pass a
yeah.
Phi on to a different body, as far as we have seen. Like, because we only have the Pure example,
hmm
so that would also probably
I
work.
mean, I guess it's a possibility, but why would the beholder withhold that information from Fushi? Especially
Oh,
because he was kind of the one who explained it, you know.
he isn't necessarily withholding it. He's just not saying it. He's not lying.
That's literally the same thing.
Well, fair. Okay. No, but like he hasn't been asked about it, so that's I feel like he works like that a lot of the time. He doesn't say things that
True.
that isn't asked
But
for.
I mean, they were literally talking about it, and he kind of brought it up. It's like, oh, they explain it as reincarnation, but when a person's will is so strong, it could carry on, etc., etc. But then
Yeah.
again, maybe that was just a detail he
Perhaps.
didn't want to explain. So maybe you're onto something there.
I don't know. I mean, obviously there might be multiple ways to make that happen, but yeah. Anyway, moving on to Hairo.
When I first saw him when he took off the mask, I was like, "Oh wait, is this a trap? Is this a girl?"
Yeah.
But it's definitely not. Definitely not a girl.
Yeah, ended up not being. But you were speculating last time that maybe it would have been the princess. I think you speculated on.
Yeah.
Not quite, but yeah.
Close. Nope.
I mean,
Nope.
it
Not
it,
even.
it looked like it might have been a girl at first. I mean, I definitely agree there.
I was getting some Lord of the Rings kind of vibes there,
Right.
Women in the army. But anyway.
But yeah, former head soldier of the Church of Bennett, and he.
Ha!
Why did? Because just we had that whole conversation, and and he seems to be questioning the faith of his church now, or at least Bond seemed to imply that a little bit when he described the three
Right.
people. And I mean, I guess he's probably onto something there because I don't think Hairo would serve someone who is helping Fushi if he was still loyal to that faith.
Totally.
So yeah, we got three pretty interesting new warriors here. But I think Messar, at least in my opinion, definitely the most interesting out of these three.
Yeah, I think Messar from a story perspective, like has more going for him.
Yeah.
I think Hairo is just interesting because he feels no pain, and just that whole
Yeah.
concept is very interesting, and his backstory with the Church of Bennett is really disturbing, like how they
Yeah.
kind of just took out all his teeth like that, and so he probably wears false teeth, and
Right.
it's like, wow, man, it's really sad.
Very. Yeah.
For the life of me, I cannot find that stupid quote where I know it's Kahaku who says the age of Fushi, but I can't find it.
I mean, he doesn't. Well, I'm pretty sure I was right in that he says he's 100. Or sorry,
Or excuse me,
233.
like he gives a number.
Yeah.
He gives a number. I'm just trying to find.
I think you
number.
said the number right. Like, I think 233 was right, but that is 233 years older than Messar, I think, who he was speaking to at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know his exact age, but he's probably at least 20.
Yeah, I mean it's not so much I'm caring about that. It's just I just want to find it.
I think it's fine. It's fine.
You don't understand. It's not fine. I'm trying to find it. Anyway, you may continue.
All right. Let's talk about the Beholder next.
Okay.
When Fushi learns that, or at least they're communicating with the Nokker in Kahaku's hand, and I'm not saying he necessarily learned something because I'm still not taking everything that the Nokker says, for granted. I don't know, it could be lying as far as we know. But when it says that they communicate with each other through these mental images, but that it doesn't work unless both of the Nokkers are like cooperating to have a conversation in that kind of way. Fushi thought of the Beholder, who had previously in the story had said that he can't control minds, and I didn't exactly see the significance there, like to the similarity necessarily. I understand, I understand it, but I don't exactly see why Fushi's mind went there, I guess. But it seemed important somehow. Like it's like just the way it was depicted on the page made it seem like that, well, Fushi wondering about that, that's potential similarity between the Beholder and the Knockers, I guess,
Hmm.
that it was somehow important. What did you make of that, if anything?
I ignored it. No. I need to see the exact quote again. Um,
Oh yeah, it was pretty much after they got to Renril, Fushi and Kahaku.
so you're just wondering about that he can't control minds?
Well, Fushi seems to think that it was somehow similar. That like, cause he was reminded of the fact that the Beholder can't control minds when the
Hmm.
Nokker told him that the Knockers can't control each other's minds, basically, or well, sort of. What I didn't understand exactly was why this is important right now, because it's not new information about the Beholder himself, but Fushi made a connection between the Knocker's information and the Beholder's previous statement. That is what has me a little bit puzzled, and it makes me feel like it's important, but I don't see how it's going to be important.
I see how they yeah where you're saying it could be important, but I just think it's just explaining how Phi is independent. Um,
Right. Maybe I was just
Again,
thinking too much into it, or like trying to, or because it seemed the way it was put on the page, how puzzled Fushi was over it, made me feel like it was going to be something very important. Like
maybe I'm wrong. You've read
I,
more than I have, but
yeah, but I mean, as I said, also I've forgotten a lot of the things, especially from this point on. But yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what comes of that. We also sort of get it confirmed here in this book that Fushi will indeed replace the Beholder one
mhm.
day after he has acquired all the things that the Beholder has. And at that time, the Beholder will vanish. And Messar asked him, or he asked the Beholder, if he created Fushi because he's going to disappear regardless, or if he created Fushi because he wants to disappear and like he needs
Right.
someone to take over after him.
I think
Uh,
that's exactly it. To be
right.
honest, I mean I've said
Yeah.
that in
I,
previous
I'm
discussions.
I'm really unsure which one of those, because we didn't get to see his response, if he even did give a response. Um, I'm thinking he probably did, though, because maybe not we won't necessarily get a flashback to this, but maybe at least one of these characters that were present in this conversation might relay this information to Fushi, perhaps in the future, maybe. But it would be nice to get that sort of confirmed as well, because I was really I get really curious and interested when I saw that scene, but then obviously we didn't get to see the answer to it.
I think his silence was kind of telling, in my opinion.
Is silence?
Um, the Beholder's silence.
Well, the scene cut off right there. We didn't get to see it.
Well, you know what I. Well, okay, excuse me. Like, I'm pretty sure that he didn't say anything.
Oh, you think he didn't respond to that question at all?
Yes,
Oh, okay. That's
but
fair.
then hey, maybe he did.
I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know. So it could be anything.
Well, I just think it's cool that he shows himself, to the other three. I mean, we've already got to this point, but it's just interesting that he would show himself to others, um, without Fushi even being conscious.
Yeah. And he got stabbed by Messar.
Yeah, I thought that was really
That
dumb. I thought it was really dumb by Messar. I was like, what are you doing?
yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
don't know. I mean, it's his personality, but I just someone that looks someone like that. I don't think ooh stab kill him
yeah.
like take the advantage.
it was
I don't know.
it was funny too though, because Messar was definitely the one who looked the most terrified at the sight of him.
Mm.
Uh, so I guess that's just how he responds in fear, like under that kind of pressure, I guess. Um, Definitely interesting to see, or and that he really has a, like, just like Fushi or anyone really, he has this very physical body. He bleeds. He isn't that supernatural or whatever. I mean, obviously he's very supernatural, but I mean, I guess you could see it as like things would just go through him or something like that, but that wasn't the case. And or like things can't penetrate his body, but they it could. So yeah.
I guess yeah, you're right. That's some pretty good information to get.
Yep, dude. I wonder if there's ever gonna be like a fight between like Fushi and the Beholder.
Oh, I wonder.
That could be pretty cool.
It
Obviously,
could be pretty
like
interesting.
way further down the line, of course, but
Uh-huh.
that could
Maybe
be
tensions get pretty high between the two.
right. Oh,
I almost I to be honest, I felt like the story was gonna go in a way where Fushi would gradually learn to appreciate the beholder and maybe change his view on him. Um, but yeah, maybe it would lead to a fight kind of a situation. That could be very interesting.
could be. And this is another thing I never thought of until like just right now.
Uh huh.
But
But
yeah,
not yeah, obviously neither have I really. I mean, maybe when we were like reading the volume first, say, oh, I wonder. It's like, oh, is or the series at first, is the Beholder a bad guy?
right. Yeah.
Could he be an antagonist in some way?
Well, he's still very gray in his morality, I'd say. Like, or at the
Yeah,
very least, it's hard to read. It's hard to know
right.
like where he stands.
We don't quite understand his ways,
Yeah.
and I still can't find that stupid quote.
Let it go. More on the Beholder?
Nope.
Then let's talk about the Nokker for a little bit. As we mentioned earlier, we learn in this book that they, or at least assuming we can trust the Nokker in Kahaku's hand, we learn that they communicate through mental images, which we sort of speculated on a little bit before. That it wouldn't, they probably didn't have like an actual language, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they have other means to communicate with each other. And Kahaku compared that method of communication to the earthenware people, which I thought was
Yeah,
an
that's really
interesting
interesting.
connection. Maybe, I mean, they might be completely unrelated, or maybe there is some sort of connection there. I mean, obviously they are both Phi at the core. Like everything is, as we know now. So I guess there is at least that connection that we know for sure. But I guess other than that, it's
Right.
hard to say.
Yeah, I think it's a connection that we can't quite ignore yet
Mm.
because, yeah, it's uh, how often how often do we see people communicate with images? Or it's
Mm-hmm.
only the earthenware people so far. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested to see if there is any connection between the knockers or maybe Phi in general and the earthenware.
Exactly. So I mean, at the very least, we can say pretty safely say that they're not allied with each other
Oh
because
no, no.
since the earthenware village was destroyed by the knockers.
Uh huh.
But yes, some connection should be interesting to find out more about. Definitely. And I think the second interesting thing we learned about the knockers, or maybe the most interesting new thing we learned about the knockers, is that they are primarily driven by feeling, like feelings. Like that appears to be their main drive force, sort of, in everything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
We knew, obviously, we knew since earlier that they they feel very strongly about pain being a 100% purely bad thing, and
Right.
that's why they, well, not why they do what they do. Like physical bodies feel pain, so that's inherently a bad thing. But yeah, they're emotional, I guess, in some sense,
Mm-hmm.
as far as we could read from this book, I guess.
So Bone asks if there's some sort of leader thing, but then it goes into the writings of the Knocker. So I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be a clever connection between the two, and that confirms that they don't have a leader and they're just going off of feelings and that's what leads them,
Right.
or was it just something in between and that because afterwards the beholder says that's something that can only be confirmed after death or something like that, and
Mm-hmm.
which really gets me thinking. So is he still open to the possibility that there is someone controlling the Nokkers, or is he just saying that it's most likely they're just acting on feelings? I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like it wasn't very clear, I guess. It was pretty
Mm-mm.
vaguely put in this book, but at least it was a little bit new information. So, yeah, yeah. Still so many questions.
Right.
But yeah. More on the knockers?
Nope.
All right, then I guess there's just maybe not much at all, but a character that I don't have really anything to say on, but that I would just want to mention, a new character that was slightly prominent was Cam, or however his name is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be pronounced. The knight from Renril, or I think he was a knight, right? Or at least a soldier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Or yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, don't have too much to say about him. Just wanted to, I guess, mention him by name because he is a new character that definitely had a presence in this book.
I kind of like this funny moments like. Bones asks like, "Wait, who are you? Like, what are you doing here?" It's like, "Oh yeah, we did tell him everything." Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and also like the image that Echo gave Fushi about the food at home was like it was like her and Kahaku all happy and like a beautiful table of food. And then when he got there, like Cam was sitting there eating, and obviously the table wasn't as beautiful and stuff like that. But yeah, like the fact that Cam was like one of the big differences like between the promise and reality, I thought was pretty funny.
um, I I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but but I still was surprised that he grabbed Fushi to try to impress everybody, impress the ladies.
Yeah.
You know, go, come on, help me look really cool. I was like, dude, nah, I don't know. Like, I kind
Yeah.
of, I mean, he's a nice guy, but that was like
Right.
not, come on, don't lie to people.
Yeah.
Lying won't impress the ladies, doofus.
No, and obviously that ultimately was sort of the catalyst to revealing Fushi's
True.
identity, which was a bad thing. But afterward, he was also sort of the reason why the people started kind of opening their minds to
Yeah,
Fushi. So he really did both good and bad.
he
Probably
made up
more
for it.
so good. Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I liked his line, "Let us protect the people important to us."
yeah.
Like, you know, it. I think people want to help, especially if it deals with people around them. So
Mm, absolutely. So, do you have anything more on any other character other than the one that we saw on the final page in this book?
I do not.
All right then. Well, we touched on it at the very start of this discussion. March is back, baby.
Woo!
Like,
So happy for
oh
her.
my god! And it's been
I yeah.
like 2,500 years.
I'm trying to find how many years. I'm trying to find.
It's been
I'm kidding.
it's been about that. But yeah, it's really really exciting. Like it's incredibly exciting to see like because she died back in volume 2, and
Right.
man,
Is she finally going to be able to live a life, like be an adult?
right? Might
Is
she?
that possible now?
Oh, I really hope so. I really hope so.
Wow. And I'm kind of like, while I'm really hyped for this, I'm also like, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about, being, somewhat emotional about this death, and now she's back,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, give me back my tears. No, no, it's not. It's
Fair.
not exactly like that, because
No.
I don't feel like it's a cheap thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's been a long journey to this point,
Oh yeah.
but I guess I still have to wonder, where does this go where does it go from here, and is death going to be a thing anymore?
Right. It really
I don't
depends, I'd
know.
say, because we knew that she was one of the 5 that we saw following Fushi. So if she can come back like this, then really any one of those that we've seen walking with Fushi should also be able to return, technically.
Right.
Meanwhile, other characters such as Perona, Reen, uh, the boy, and Yuan, we haven't seen those either.
Hmm.
Maybe they can't return at all because they've already moved on to paradise completely.
Right.
So it I guess with some characters maybe they can come back, but others probably can't.
Right. That's my speculation. But I mean, at least right now. But maybe now that they know, or Fushi knows this ability, maybe in the future he just explains to people, hey, if you want to live forever, or if you want to not die, like just stick around, and I'll make your body real quick. Like,
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it definitely changes things. Like a lot. Which is exciting as well, in and of itself.
True. I found the page, by the way.
Okay. You've been searching for this whole entire
gosh.
discussion. Okay. Okay, tell me what it says.
Oh, I mean, you're exactly right.
Okay, cool. Nice.
At the very least, Emo is 233 years older than you.
Cool.
So.
Yep. So that makes it probably at least 250. Yeah, like probably like a bit more than that. But anyway, I guess that's it for all the characters, and probably most of this discussion so far.
Yep.
So, any final predictions? Anything that we haven't talked about, or anything else that we haven't talked about in the discussion so far?
Let me just say, this next volume, it could go one of two ways. I think either there's going to be incredible disaster with some hope, or a lot of good things with a small bit of disaster. Did Shino hit the mic?
Well, she hit the mic that I'm talking to you through, not the mic that I'm recording
gotcha.
with.
Oh, well, yeah.
But she did. She's being very playful right now. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. So that's my thinking, and I just worry. Like I said at the very beginning, I worry about Fushi spreading himself too thin, and maybe that's gonna cause. Oh my gosh, cause some issue. I was talking about like Poco there. Cause some issues. And I just worry that something bad could happen. But I'm glad March is there. I don't know how he's going to take it in the middle of the battle once he figures that out. If he figures that out, if March would just hide because she's kind of scared of the whole situation, or she'll go fight Fushi. I'm not sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just really fresh, and like this whole thing is like, wow. Like, where is this gonna lead? Like, well, where's this gonna go?
Right, like we're at the beginning of a battle.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, super exciting. And speaking of the next volume. Usually I've been showing you the cover art for the next volume like after we're done recording, but I figured with this one I actually want to show you the cover during recording to get your reaction.
Oh gosh.
Right now.
Right now?
Right now.
Right now.
Right now. So I'm going to send you in the chat the cover art for volume 11.
I'm not ready.
Have a look.
Okay. Okay, I'm opening it up.
Get a load of this.
Oh my gosh!
Uh-huh.
Well, I guess Kahaku's a dead man.
For anyone who doesn't know what the image is, it's Kahaku holding Perona in his arms.
That's pretty adorable.
It's really cute. It's really sweet and wholesome. But yeah, just figured it would be fun to get your reaction to that one on recording. So yeah.
Yeah. Now I'm really excited for this next time.
Lovely. I'm excited to talk about it with you eventually when we record it. But yes. I guess anything more to talk about before we round off this episode?
I'm just thinking about this volume. It's, the last time he tried like embracing Perona, Fushi puked.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's just his dream
I mean,
to hold her.
yeah. I mean, I think absolutely. Based on what we've seen, that's definitely safe to assume,
Oh,
since
of course.
pretty
Yeah.
much every volume cover has been somebody's dream. But yes, it's hopefully there will be no pukes in that dream, at the very least.
No. No, no, no.
So
It's kind of like it's almost like a wedding pose kind of a thing.
yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
definitely romantic.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it has any bearing on the story. So far,
You never know.
the covers haven't had too much. I guess it depends, but
Right. I guess Volume 5, we talked about that one being a little bit
mm-hmm.
spoilery since it reintroduced Hayase into the story. But other than
Yeah.
that one, I think they're all pretty fine. But yeah, that's probably it for this week of Umami Manga.
Woo!
If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga. And it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by either rating our show on the podcast platforms or subscribing to our channel Umami Manga on YouTube. If you like this episode, please share it around with anyone you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 11. Bye bye!
See you later!